What a shocking surprise to find out that the House of Representatives of the United States actually did something really good. They prohibited the Federal Reserve from issuing a central bank digital currency. Now, there's still a long road ahead in the Senate and passage into law with the signature of the president. But still, it's a very good start. I'll explain all of it and what is behind it as we explore. This is quite a big deal, folks, because this law has just passed out of committee and into the full House and became a law, with Democrats supporting it, surprisingly. But the thing is when you think about what a central bank digital currency it is, it should not really be a partisan issue. I think most of us treasure our privacy, and that would go away with a central bank digital currency. Now, according to the Cato Institute, Representative Tom Emmer, over a year ago, introduced a bill intended to prohibit the Federal Reserve from issuing a retail central bank digital currency. Now, there's a difference between a retail and one that's issued between institutions from within the Federal Reserve System. And that includes commercial banks, obviously. We already have the foundation for that in place now with something called FedNow. But that bill finally made its way to the House floor, where members voted to pass it to the Senate. So why is Congress voting to restrict the powers of the Federal Reserve? CBDCs are not something that should be left to the discretion of unelected officials. That's for sure. There's too much that's left to the discretion of unelected bureaucrats in the government today. And now the costs simply outweigh the benefits. When it comes to central bank digital currencies, promises of financial inclusion, faster payments, and strengthening the dollar fail to stand up to scrutiny. Yet the risk to financial privacy, freedom, and markets are all too real, according to Nicholas Anthony from the Cato Institute. Around the world, governments are pushing forward to enact greater controls and surveillance with central bank digital currencies. So based off of today's events, it seems the United States is carving a different future. After decades of ever-increasing financial surveillance and control, it's a welcome change of pace. But, there's still a lot that's going on here that I think that we have to come into grips here, that it does not necessarily mean it's stopping a central bank digital currency. It just means that it's got to go through the halls of Congress first. And, of course, we know how likely it is to actually become law with this current legislative body in general. In other words, the Senate, as well as the president signing it. Now, it was mostly along party lines, but there were some Democrats that did sign this thing. The CBDC Anti-Surveillance State Act, introduced by Majority Whip Tom Emmer from Minnesota, seeks to block the U.S. Central Bank from continuing efforts towards the development of a digital dollar. When I say continuing, it's because it was under a presidential directive, all but an executive order, to explore this and possibility and to do a test run in the New York district. Republicans expressed concerns that a U.S. CBDC could be used to control Americans. Democrats said during the debate before Thursday's vote that the concerns were overblown and a ban would block public sector innovation and research. Overall, 213 Republicans and 3 Democrats voted for the bill, while 192 Democrats voted against it. The thing is, overblown is not in the language today with what government does. Nothing is overblown with what they have been doing, especially with regards to the 3-letter agencies in this government. But in reality, there's been a lot of things that the United States government has you give them an inch and they've taken 100 miles. Look at the Patriot Act. That was one thing that was abused within the first year after becoming law. And so it's crazy. Now, it's a far cry from a vote the day before when 71 Democrats joined 208 Republicans in voting for the Financial Innovation and Technology for the 21st Century Act, which is a crypto market structure bill that would give the U.S. Commodity Futures Trading Commission greater spot market authority over digital assets, and spells out how another key U.S. market regulator, the Securities and Exchange Commission, can approach this sector. So there you go. So it's crazy. They're going to give the government more control to literally influence and maybe manipulates spot market authority over digital assets. It's crazy. But anyways, and that's where this is coming from, a coin desk. It's more of a cryptocurrency related matter or site. But this is something now. It's got to go to the House of Representatives now, and it requires congressional approval before any kind of central bank digital currency can be enacted in the future. So I encourage you to contact your senators. Contact both your senators, whether or not they're in your party or not. I think it's a good idea. The more people that are known to do this, to make their voices heard in this area, the better off we're going to be, and more likely they'll pay attention. That people, they don't want this thing to just go by and get shot down in the Senate. We need accountability, and we need discretion, or we need to be able to have something that's going to be able to not manipulate the dollar any more than it already is, and to give them the power over our dollars and our bank accounts digitally. And so this is why we need to contact our senators right now to let them know to vote for this bill so that it can prohibit the Federal Reserve from just creating it carte blanche. And that's where we are at. Now, why am I showing gold and silver here? Because gold and silver cannot be manipulated or legislated out of existence. And yes, I guess technically Congress could pass a law banning the ownership of gold and silver, but good luck getting people to turn it in. And they can ban the sale of it. Thing is, there'll always be a black market from which we could buy gold and silver, no matter what. You can't ban constitutional money, although I wouldn't put it above them to try to do it if they see it as a threat. But they do not see it as a threat right now, because not enough of us here in the United States own it. In fact, in the West in general, not enough own it. And also, I think in some instances, in many cases, nations that run fast and loose with the currency, with the printing presses, like in Turkey, well, they know many of their citizens hold gold. So it's not going to completely crash the economy because their citizens hold gold, even putting it under their mattresses. I think we as Americans, we are not immune from hyperinflation. I talked about in a recent video that could come. Now, under central bank digital currency, one of the arguments for enacting a central bank digital currency would be that no more hyperinflation would ever happen again, because they'll just retain and pull back those digital dollars in an instant. In other words, take it out of your bank account in an instant. Or if they want to stimulate the economy, they'll tell you, hey, you have this amount of money in your bank account. You must spend 25% of it by this date or it disappears. That's the kind of thing they're going to do. And if you put something on social media, or if you are considered a threat by their standards, well, they can just defund you right then and there. Take all of your money, freeze your assets right then and there, directly from the Federal Reserve. Central bank digital currency, nothing good will come out of it. No question about it. Now, I know there's some nuances and the like talking about it, but with the word central in there, it's never, ever good. Central planners get involved in it, and it's going to be mayhem in the long run, maybe even in the short run. But they will certainly make it worth your while. They'll try to sell you on it by giving you 5,000 central bank digital dollars in your account. Who wouldn't want that? Who would say no to that? They'll try to buy your acceptance of it. And, but I think if that were to occur, that would be the first sign, a very, very good sign, that this thing is bad news. If they're going to do that to try to buy your acceptance or your ability to approve it, and so that would be a very bad thing. This is one reason why I have gold and silver, because I see that's likely going to be coming, and it very well could be coming uninhibited by 2030. I say that because if we continue in the same path that we are on now, with our current political system in place. If we can probably put it off to some degree, but likely in some cases, some people feel it's inevitable. I don't necessarily fall in that line. I think there's things we can do to modernize our monetary system. We don't need to centralize it, to modernize it, in my view. And there's already a lot of modernity in the financial transactions that are in monetary transactions that take place yet today. But nonetheless, contact your senator. Let them know to vote for this bill that's coming into the Senate. And hopefully, if it does get passed, it'll put pressure on the president to sign it. He may not. He may not sign it. He may veto it. And if that happens, well, it's okay. At least we went through there, and it will send a very, very, very powerful message. I think this House bill sent a very, very powerful message with a couple of Democrats on board with it. So let me know what your thoughts are about this story and why gold and silver, indeed, no matter what happens with the central bank digital currency, you cannot stop gold and silver. They have been money for thousands of years and shall continue to be, even if they aren't transacted as currency. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below. I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to each and every one of you for taking the time to watch this video, and to encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.